All right, here we go. Time to get buckets. We're going to talk some Stanley Cup finals today.
Psych!
No, we're not. We're going to talk women's lacrosse.
Psych!
Okay, no, let's talk NBA conference finals because the Celtics just dispatched the Magic. It'd be cool if they dispatched the Mavericks too, but they Magic go down. What are your first initial thoughts on Magic not in the finals?
Well, my initial thoughts are the Magic and the Cavs kind of built teams to beat each other and then proceeded to not get to play each other in the playoffs. And it came back to bite them. I think that the Celtics deserved to win the series. They did all the right things at all the right times. They dominated quarters 1 through 3 in the games that they won, it seemed like. So in quarter 4, they didn't have to play quite as well. The Magic won some of the quarter 4s, but it didn't matter.
Didn't matter when you're down 20.
Yeah.
But does this mean that the whole Vince Carter experiment, does that mean that's a failure?
Yes. I think we all knew the Vince Carter experiment was probably going to be a failure because, as everybody says about Vince Carter, if you foul him hard once, he's just going to start settling for jump shots. And I guess when it comes down to it, he couldn't replace Hedo Turkoglu for that Magic team. Hedo was clutch. Vince Carter sucked.
Yeah, and then they traded away Courtney Lee to get him. They traded away their good role spot-up shooters. And, I mean, there were people that, I guess, obviously not a lot of people picked Boston in either series, Cavs or Magic. But, I mean, there were people that were saying this Magic team, I mean, obviously they hadn't lost. They were 8-0 going into the series. But they were like, yeah, this team's better than last year. They'll make it to the finals. They'll have a better shot. You can't. Vince Carter, he's not the Vince Carter of the Toronto Raptors. He almost belongs like on the Celtics with the older kids. He's the older kid on the block. Turkoglu was perfect for that team, and he had a bad season or whatever, but that's just, I mean, he really doesn't, I guess, fit in Toronto as well as he fit in Orlando.
Right. And I mean, and it makes sense. The Magic really probably weren't going to be able to afford re-signing Turkoglu. That probably wasn't in their budget, and that's fine, but it just didn't make sense that they hyped up the whole Vince Carter era into, I mean, even calling it the Vince Carter era. Like, it's Dwight Howard's team.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's no way they could sign Turkoglu when they got Rashard Lewis on the books as the highest paid person in the NBA in, 2012. And there may be a podcast where all we do is talk contracts. It may be in the future.
That would be great. And I mean, Rashard Lewis didn't show up for the majority of the series.
Yeah, I brought him
He was
up
back.
on accident. That's how forgettable he was.
Especially in games 1 and 2, he was the definition of awful. After the first 2 games, he was averaging 5.5 points a game. And we're talking one of the superstars of your team.
We're talking the 8th highest paid player in the league next year.
That just cannot happen. It can't.
I still don't understand why they signed him to that contract. You can't give that kid $20 million to give you 8 points in a playoff game.
Well, I mean, in the long run, I think what Rashard Lewis needs to do at this point is
quit.
Get back into his game.
How surprised am I that you actually just did that? Not at all. Not at all.
Oh.
That was bad. Okay, still talking. What? Yeah, go for it.
Let's stay on it for a second. How did you feel about Nate Robinson coming in for Game 6 tonight and really stepping up?
If you would have told me at any time this, I guess, season that Nate Robinson was going to win a playoff game, probably told you get out of here. But he pretty much won that playoff game. That was a tight game until Nate Robinson kind of stole the show, and he went off for 13 in the second quarter, and they pulled away and really never looked back. But he was clutch, and as much as I hate the Celtics, props to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like as I was watching the game, it was a subplot on like what Nate Robinson was going to do and what his reaction to doing it was going to be. Um, my favorite play of the game was actually a complete failure. He tried to dunk on Dwight
Yeah.
Howard, which drew a foul on Dwight Howard and whatever.
Mm, yeah.
But if he does complete the dunk in some miraculous form, we're talking one of the best plays in NBA playoff history. It would have been on a commercial in a few years, and it would have been going, get back into our game.
The whole physics of that dunk wouldn't work out. He wasn't high enough.
He wasn't. He really wasn't.
And he got swatted.
Man, he got fouled. Give him a break.
At the end. He got blocked first.
He did get blocked first. That's true. There was a lot of body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And whenever you're 5'4", you're going to get a lot of body.
And also the bad flagrant foul calls
God.
keep rolling in.
Did we talk about that like the first podcast? Referees?
Uh-huh.
God.
We talked about two things the first podcast that showed themselves tonight. The bad flagrant foul calls, and they chanted MVP at Rondo after he got hurt and was at the free throw line. They chanted MVP at him. The award has been given out.
He's not in the playoffs anymore, but LeBron still got the award.
He does have the MVP.
I can't. The flagrant foul, it wasn't even... Just because he falls hard doesn't mean it was a... I mean, it doesn't mean it was a flagrant.
I mean, and he went for the ball. He
dunked
did.
The ball.
Yeah.
And then he fouled him. I mean, it was a normal foul. Get up and you play. Just, the refs are... It's like daycare now, man. You can't push a kid without having to go to timeout.
It's way too weak. It really is. And I mean, on top of that, in Game 5, the Kendrick Perkins technical.
Yeah.
Neither of them should have been a technical.
No, that was just Kendrick Perkins being Kendrick Perkins and just mouthing and yapping, just getting frustrated with the whole thing.
Right. And the league did the right thing by
rescinding it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think I mean, there is one other series still going on, Lakers and Suns. What do you think the Celtics' chances are versus either of those two teams?
I think they have a very good chance no matter which team they face up against, just because they play such good defense. And they have veteran guys, and especially if they play the Lakers, Rondo is going to absolutely tear Derek Fisher apart.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I would love to see them play the Suns, just because that would be such an incredible point guard matchup with Nash against Rondo.
Man. I love Steve Nash. I think he would get abused.
I think he would to an extent, but I also think that he could abuse Rondo.
I would agree with that. I guess I was just thinking of the defensive side, but yeah, go.
But I mean, I think that the Celtics could beat either. I think their chances are better against the Suns.
Obviously.
But I think the Celtics Lakers would be the better series in the long run, just because it's a classic rivalry.
It's the only series I
rematch.
don't want to see.
What do you think about it? What do you think about their chances?
Their chances, I've given them. I mean, they're my most hated team in the league. Second, followed by the Lakers. So that matchup right there would be just. It would kill me on the inside just to watch it. But I think their chances are good against either one. I haven't given them enough credit versus anyone. They took my Cavs absolutely out of the game in pretty quick fashion. Then they just took out a really good Magic team who hadn't lost in the postseason. They're turning it on at the right time. I guess they're a little banged up. That kind of worries me, but they do have 5 days or 6 days to get over that and see who's healthy and who's still got a concussion or who's got a back problem or whatever's going on. But I like their chances. I think, obviously, like you said, Lakers, Celtics is going to be that whole NBA rivalry, and they're two good teams that have been historically good and are going to probably end up playing again, which I guess takes us into the next series, unless you have something else to say about that series.
I mean, just like I just don't think the Lakers have shown that they are as dominant as I thought they were. Like a little bit earlier in the year, like they're good, but a young Thunder team gave them really all they could handle. I mean, I know it was only 6 games, but it was a buzzer beater in Game 6 to essentially win it. And then the Suns, who I didn't think could hang with them at this point, are really just giving them all they can handle. And I think that the Lakers aren't just a dominant team that cannot be beat.
Yeah, they've proven to be really vulnerable, and I think it's really ironic that 2 Kobe Bryant air balls have won them 2 Game 6s in key spots when they really needed it.
Yeah,
because he's supposed to be the closer and the one that makes those shots, and he's airballing them right to his teammates, which is kind of lucky. But I guess that takes us to yesterday night when they kind of escaped with a win where they probably, there's no way I can say they should have lost that game, because had he missed this shot, normally they would have gone to overtime. I don't know who would have won in overtime, but momentum tells me Suns win, but momentum really, I guess, doesn't mean much when they lost. So, I just thought they were really lucky to escape with that win yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree, but at the same time, like, the Suns came back in the second half, strong second half, but at the same time, the Suns got lucky just on the trip down court before. Like, there were a couple of long rebounds that they got, which led to Richardson banking in a 3. So, I mean, you really can't, I really can't say that they were lucky, because they earned the spot that they were in to have a chance to win at the end of the game. But it was unfortunate that Kobe's shot was an air ball, because if it had hit the rim, Jason Richardson would have been in a great position to rebound it, but instead it fell at least 2 or 3 feet short, which was really surprising, and Ron Artest happened to be there.
That whole sequence was unreal. Really just the whole kind of what you're talking about, banking in a 3-pointer on one end and going down and having an air ball for the win off the glass. What do you think is going to happen in Game 6?
Part of me tells me that I think the Lakers are just going to come in and close it out, that was a gut punch to the Suns. But at the same time, the Suns are different than most teams, I feel like. I feel like they have more heart than a lot of teams, and that they're going to win in Game 6, and they're going to force a Game 7. I don't think they'll go out.
I would agree with that. Also, one thing I think is going to be working in their favor, if Amari brings that aggressive attitude, looking at this, the NBA really needs a Game 7, like really badly. They haven't had one since the Hawks and the Bucks in the first round, and they really need a Game 7 to, I guess, just get ratings up, get excited, and not have a 5-day layoff in between series. So I think the refs might have that in the back of their mind via David Stern in some kind of memo. So I think if Amari comes out as aggressive as he has been the last couple games, he can get to the free throw line. The Lakers are going to be, I think it's going to be a close game, because I don't think the Suns can win in any kind of blowout. I just don't think the Lakers are to that point yet where they'll be blown out of a Game 6 when they have a chance to wrap it up. So I think it'll be a close game, but I'm picking Phoenix because I hate the Lakers.
That's a great reason to pick a team.
It's usually how I pick teams.
I guess. And I mean, I guess if we think about it, if the Lakers win this game, it's most likely the end of an era in Phoenix, like the Steve Nash with Amari Stoudemire. Because there's a lot of talk saying Stoudemire's gone. So this could be the last game we see the two of them play together, which is very sad, because they were so fun to watch.
I want them to get to the finals, because I just love the way they play basketball. I mean, they just run up and down, they're shooting threes, they're running pick and rolls that no one can seem to stop. Steve Nash makes these incredible passes through like two people's legs and fits it in the just these tight holes. I don't know whether Amari will opt out. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of talk that he will. I hope he doesn't. I mean, and maybe this will do something to the Suns. Because, I mean, remember, they were minutes away from trading him to the Rockets right before the trade deadline. So this team might not even be in this situation right now, but now that they're in the conference finals, does that kind of sway Steve Kerr's mentality going into the offseason? Whether how hard they try and keep Amari and everything like that. I mean, it'll be interesting. We got a lot of interesting free agent stuff going on.
I really hope the Suns win. And then I hope the Celtics beat them. I do. I'm rooting for the Celtics.
Oh, that kills me.
But at the same time, I think you want the Suns to win because that means that you have hope in the NBA Finals for a team that you don't hate to win the championship.
Exactly. That is so spot on that I can't say anything else about it. Have you seen speaking of, free agency, have you seen LeBron has his own, like, ESPN free agency page?
I have not been to the free agency page. I did see, however, that the super fan of the LA Clippers yesterday led a parade type march thing throughout LA, trying to get LeBron to come to the Clippers.
Yeah, he's got this, like, it's called LeBron Tracker. It's like its own ESPN page. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. You should type it in and find out.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. And that's just kind of ridiculous. He's a big deal. He's a big deal, but he doesn't deserve his own ESPN page.
I think that it's all kind of been, and we haven't had a podcast since he got ousted from the playoffs, and that's probably good because I would have gone on a whole rant about the entire thing, and we've kind of had time to let it settle. But I think we've all kind of just reacted off of the loss and how it happened, and we're just really emotionally charged with our decisions. Oh, he's going. There's no way he'll stay in Cleveland. I mean, I don't even think he knows what he's doing right now. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going somewhere else.
I mean, I definitely agree. I don't think he knows. I don't think he's going to know on July 1st. I think he's just going to take his time because it's not going to hurt him to take his time.
Yeah, I mean, he's what everybody wants. Speaking of kind of all that, we have that report that D. Wade's planning on getting together with LeBron, Chris Bosh, Joe Johnson at some sort of alpha male summit conference and talk over their futures and careers and where they plan on going. Do you have any thoughts on that before I rant about it?
Well, I kind of know what you're going to say about it. You think it's unrealistic, blah, blah, blah. But if just one of these guys, no matter which one it is willing to take a lesser deal for championships and for the fame and to be the first superstar to ever take less money, then it could work. That's the only way I think it could work. If both guys are going to demand max money, nothing good's going to come out of it.
Right. I mean, in theory, you're getting all these alpha males together, all these 25 plus per game scorers, and you're going to sit down with them or with each other and say, all right, which one of us is not taking max money to go play with someone else? I mean, we're talking $30 million you got to leave on the table to go sign somewhere else in free agency, unless you can talk to your team into a sign and trade, so you can get that other $30 million in that extra year on that contract. I mean, and if say LeBron's idea, LeBron wants to go play for the Knicks, but he still wants that $30 million. If I'm the Cavs, I ain't giving him 30. I'm not satisfying him and giving him $30 million so I can take on Chris Duhon's contract or something stupid like that.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to help him get there as he spurns me and leaves me.
Right.
That just doesn't make sense to me. So you have all these alpha males, and they all want max money. It's all about money. I mean, let's get that straight. It's not about winning. You can say it's about winning, and that can be priority number 2. But priority number 1 will and will always be money. And so, like you said, when you get 2 max guys, so we're going to go LeBron and Bosh to the Knicks. Okay. So you got about 38 mil or something like that between those 2 guys. Where is the rest of your team? And who are you signing? Two players can only win you so many games. I mean, like we were talking about it earlier, I guess off air. Like I said, that'll probably give you like 45, 50 wins. I mean, just 2 of them being as great as they are. But that won't win you a championship. And according to you, not you, but according to your philosophy, that's the whole reason that you're doing this. You're going with a superstar to somewhere else so you 2 can win. But unless you round out your whole roster with other players, you're not going to win. You can't have a roster of imaginary friends and win championships. You have to fill it out with, legitimate players. 2 people doesn't win anything.
Right. That's...
End rant.
I mean, I'm glad your rant's over because I don't like listening to you. But I think at some point in the NBA, and I don't think it'll be this year, we're going to see 2 superstars want to play together, and they're both going to want to win. And they're going to realize that through 1 year's salary and endorsement, even if it's not $20 million a year, that their family can, they're fine. If we just find an NBA superstar that can take care of his money, then he's not going to be as concerned about making that extra $5-10 million, because 1 year's NBA salary is more than most people make in a lifetime.
It's probably more than I'll make in my lifetime.
And you'll be fine. You'll be financially okay.
But I guess if you're getting to a superstar where you can even get these contracts, You've gone through your rookie scale. You've established yourself as a superstar. You're probably scoring 25 a game. You already you've been conditioned to have that mentality, I guess. It's going to take a real moral stud to come in here and do something like you're talking about.
Jimmer Fredette, I'm calling it.
I don't know if Fredette's getting max contract. As much as I like his little scoop shots, I don't think he's getting max money from anybody. Jimmer Fredette. Now maybe if I make it to the NBA, we can start talking about winning championships.
You already told me it was about money for you, and you wouldn't turn max money down.
Right. Because I'm not stupid. 30 million is 30 million you don't have. Even if you have 500 million off of all your other contracts combined, 30 million is 30 million you didn't have before that.
And you don't need.
But you do, because you never know what can happen in life.
No, you know that you can live off of 500. This doesn't matter.
No,
this isn't. It does just.
All right,
we're boring.
We're done with talking about. No, we're not boring. This is thrilling debate talk. On Get Buckets. Have you got buckets?
Get back into our game.
Have you gotten buckets recently?
In what form? In the basketball form?
Yeah.
I have. I've played with JT, one of my best friends from high school, for those of you who don't know. And some of the crew that he works with. He works at Annie Ann's Pretzels. And
the best pretzels. The best.
I can literally dribble circles around every single one of them. And it's so much fun. It's so fun. Like, I feel like LeBron. Except I don't need any part of a team to win a championship.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Anyways.
I got buckets with goggles today. Gilberto Clavel. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, got buckets with him today.
That's great.
He's in my class, so we got buckets together.
I'm uncomfortable with that.
Uncomfortable with what?
Getting buckets together.
Okay.
Let's just move on. Let's move on.
The whole idea of being floated around of like coaching packages, like, so we have the same agent, so we'll get John Calipari and LeBron, and we'll give them to your team, and we'll help steer everything. That crap doesn't happen. There's it upset me so much I had to write it down to talk about.
Well, we talked about it a little bit before we started the podcast, um, and I think the best point that you made is like the main coach that this whole thing has been talked about with is let's get LeBron and Calipari together and
Right. That's
just
what
send it
upsets me.
somewhere.
That's what upsets me.
Right, and why are we assuming that Calipari is going to make a good coach in the
Right.
NBA?
Exactly. We're not,
Like,
did he coach at like the King? I want to say Kings. It
I want to say the
was-
net,
You want to say the Nets?
but I could be wrong. I'll look it up right now. You keep talking,
Okay.
and I'll look it up.
That's just what upsets me the most is we're jumping on this case like, oh, LeBron's friends with John Wall and Calipari recruited John Wall, and then they're all friends together, and LeBron goes to Kentucky games, and oh man, they're just a whole bunch of friends. Let's recruit them as one package. And this was more talked about, I guess, with the Nets and kind of when they were statistically going to get the first pick, and that they didn't end up getting that. So then they kind of went to the Bulls, and okay, well we'll get Calipari and LeBron, and we'll come to the Bulls where we can coach Derrick Rose and LeBron. When did he just become this highly successful NBA head coach?
I mean, like looking back, I'm looking at his record, I guess, right now, and he coached for a couple years with the Nets, and in the 97-98 season, they made the playoffs on the last day of the season. Big deal. You're the 8th seed in that case, most likely.
You're the 8th seed. You're probably getting swept out of the first round.
Yeah, in the first round. And then the next year, they were supposed to be pretty good, and Sam Cassell was their point guard at the time. And the Nets started out 3-17. That sounds a lot like the Nets from this year. And
yeah, it does.
I mean, that was Calipari's go at the NBA. He got out and went back, and he went to Memphis from there.
Yeah, all this Calipari bashing talk. I think he's a great college coach and a great recruiter. It just upset me about the NBA part.
I think he's a great recruiter. I'm not even sure I would say he's a great college coach. He recruits really well.
Yeah, I guess it's easier when your players are better.
Yeah, and that's what happens in the NBA. Like Calipari can't recruit this guy to come play for him.
Right.
He can't say, here, they can give you a full ride to their school, or we can give you a full ride to ours. It's the management is going to bring in the players, and they can only bring in so many talented players at this price or that price. So he can't handpick who he's working with.
I agree. I'm glad we agree.
And there's nothing to show. There's nothing to show that he can be successful in that situation.
I'm glad we agree on that. That makes me happy.
I'm smiling right now.
I know, I see. All right, let's talk World Cup soccer. I'll let you lead that.
All right. Well, the U.S. is on their farewell tour right now. The U.S. national team kicked it off against the Czech Republic. I guess that was earlier this week. I'm not exactly sure what night. I watched the game. It was sloppy. We lost 4-2.
Yeah, I heard we were very just reading that we weren't impressive. Tell me more about it.
Well, I think that's the main thing, because most soccer fans in America, you're either like hardcore or you'll come around for the World Cup. And I mean, you're a guy that's just going to come around for the World Cup. You're really just not a huge soccer guy.
Right.
So those people don't usually watch the games before that or anything. And in the case of this Czech Republic game, really the U.S. didn't play their players. We played Onyewu, who's our best defender. We played Maurice Edu, who's going to be probably our best midfielder, one of our best defensive midfielder, I guess. And other than that, we played a bunch of guys that we didn't know if they were even going to be on the team, on the 23-man roster. Landon Donovan, Carlos Bocanegra, Tim Howard, Josie Altidore, Clint Dempsey are all sitting up in the booth watching the game from up there, eating a hamburger. What do you expect when we're missing our five best players from the field?
So I guess what you're saying is the whole media and the whole we didn't look very good. It's kind of overhyped because we didn't have our guys kind of going for us.
Right. Yes, absolutely. There's no reason to panic because we lost to the Czech Republic 4-2.
All right,
We
that sounds good.
Some of the guys on the field didn't make the cut and or won't see the field if they did.
Tell me how good Italy is going to be because I just bought an Italy shirt at Target with a soccer ball on it. It was $9.99.
I'm disappointed in your purchase, first off, because
Okay,
I want you
but
to solely be supporting the U.S.
I do, but they didn't have a U.S. They had Germany, England, Italy, Brazil, but it was brown, so I wasn't going to get that one, or I would have got Brazil, and Great Britain, or no, that it was some other European nation, not Italy.
Probably Spain.
Oh yeah, España, yeah, that was it, and they were
Okay.
$9.99, and I had to pick one, and I went with Italy
Well,
because of
Italy,
Tati, or Tony, Tati.
yeah, those are actually Tony and Kati are both different players.
Yes.
But anyways, Italy will be good. They're, I guess they're in the second tier of favorites to win the cup, the World Cup. The first tier is really Spain and Brazil.
I should have gone with España. Dang it. Okay.
Those are the two that have been picked the most to win the World Cup. But Italy they're kind of like the Celtics. They're a veteran team. They're kind of older, but a lot of people think they might have one last glorious run.
As soon as the U.S. gets out, I'm going to wear my Italy shirt every day.
Well, you're not going to be able to wear your Italy shirt until after we win the World Cup then.
That's very confident.
That was a complete joke. There's no way we win the World Cup.
There's got to be a way. It's soccer. You still have to play the game.
Well, I just had to say there's no way we win the World Cup because if I sit here and say the U.S. is going to win the World Cup, I look like I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think we're all being realistic when we say if we get to the World Cup finals, there's something going on.
I mean, I think we're being realistic where if we get to the round where there's 8 teams left, there's something going on.
All right. That sounds good. By the way, you can get buckets via soccer, too, so don't think that you can't.
You can really get buckets via the majority of somewhat popular sports. Hockey,
No.
I mean, here's my advice to our listeners out there. When it comes down to it, you just need to get back into your game.
Oh, my gosh.
And I also, I'm contractually obligated to mention Luke Walton at some point in our podcast.
I still hate the Celtics, so I've already done that.
And I mean, I guess I should mention Adam Morrison.
Adam Morrison looks good in his suit.
Why is he not dressing out?
Probably because he's not on the active roster.
But he was dressing out earlier in the playoffs. He played earlier in the playoffs.
They got Bynum back.
Oh, they did get Bynum back. That's
I think
right.
they used his activation and they deactivated Morrison. That
needed to happen.
That just makes sense in my head. Upcoming on the podcast, I got some good ideas, and I haven't even told you. We're going to redraft the league. So, obviously, LeBron is one. But after that, we're going to have a redraft. Me and you, we're going to decide who gets drafted where. That'll be fun. We're going to have top jerseys. Okay.
Are we doing top jerseys that we want, or top jerseys actually like Yao Ming sold the most jerseys?
No. Like teams. Like who has like the cool top like old school Warriors, the
Right.
city ones.
I see where you're at.
Like we'll be ranking those like a power rankings, and me and you will go through it. Also, we're bound just to talk about contracts, so we're gonna have to talk about contracts one of these days because there's so many terrible contracts out there.
Right, and we're gonna rope in, I guess. this is my vow to the 8 people that are going to listen to this,
Hmm.
that we will podcast more often. It was solely my fault that we had not podcasted before right now, so don't lay any of that blame on Nathaniel.
I would love to also take some blame because I was in mourning for my Cavs for a good week and I didn't want to do anything. And then I kind of wanted to do the podcast after I saw that it was going to be okay and that the sun still came up after we lost.
Absolutely. And we'll podcast more. We're going to talk about the World Cup some more because it's my favorite sporting event. It really is.
Italia!
We're not going to talk about Italy because they don't matter until the U.S. loses.
Okay. But, okay, if the U.S. loses, will you go buy the same Italy shirt so we can be like twins?
It depends on who's still left around. I really want if the U.S. loses, I prefer an African team to win the World
I
Cup.
love African teams too, but they didn't have any of those at Target. Their selection needs to be much better.
Target must be racist.
I would argue that, yeah. There were no black countries represented. There was no Caribbean countries like the Dominican or Costa Rica or any of those. We're really getting off tangent here. But one other thing, we'll probably end up doing some NBA draft stuff too because we know a lot about nothing about that. And Ekpe.
Efe Udo, he coached my intramural basketball team. That's really all that matters. He's my hero.
Did you know that Quincy Acey was Aaron's lab partner?
I did know that, actually, that he coached a Caio basketball team.
That is probably why. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I've seen him as high as 8.
I saw him as high as 8, but I've seen him drop off since then, which I honestly very much expected. Because if you watch Efe Udo work out, or even just before a game, he doesn't strike you as someone that's going to be really good. It's when you put him in the game that you actually see what he's going to be able to do. So I've seen him drop down to about the 13 range.
The Rockets range.
I saw him with the Rockets.
Yeah.
And that would be a steal if he falls that low to the Rockets. I think it
would also be something that they don't need. I mean, I love my Rockets, but they don't need him. They're loaded at 4. I love Epe, but they got Hill, Scola. Hey, I mean, you can only rotate so many people at that spot.
You're right. That's a good point.
Maybe drafting him opens up some other avenues and such like that. But you got anything else, or are we about done boring everyone?
I definitely think we bore everyone at the end when we just kind of sit here and talk.
It's fun
but
for us.
But at the same time, I think some people, yeah, it's great. I really like going into this next week when you're just going about your day-to-day lives. I just encourage you to get back into your game.
All right,
and watch the U.S. soccer game Saturday at 1:30 Central Time.
I'm not going to say anything because I can't top that. Bye.
See ya.